Imagine growing all your vegetables in an area no bigger than the average garden, enough to supply a couple of pounds or 1 kilo of fresh produce each and every day of the year. That's the ambition of today's gardener, who's on a mission to slash grocery shopping bills in exchange for delicious garden-grown goodness. There he is, Huw, hello.
How are you doing?
Not bad, thank you. Lovely to meet you at last.
At last.
Thanks so much for having us along. A lot of you will probably recognise you. This is Huw Richards, fellow YouTuber, big YouTuber, and yeah, fellow gardener, obviously.
Yeah, passionate gardener, because I am very food focused and flavour focused.
Yes.
So like, the fact that I can eat it is a win.
So what are you doing here? This is a well-defined space. So
this is well, it's going to be my new kitchen garden, but for this year it's been very much an experiment on self-sufficiency. So I've been calling it the secret garden. It's called the self-sufficiency garden, and I'm just trying to grow 365 kilos of food here within 12 months. The idea is that for, say, 2 adults, and with knowing how to preserve and being careful with crop selection, is that you can get the equivalent of 1 kilo or 2.2 pounds of food per day, and that's split between 2 adults. It's then down to you what kind of protein you want to have with it.
Yeah. Wow, well, let's have a little look around then.
Absolutely.
Look at this wall of beans here. These are really cropping nicely. I can see where the weight's coming on. Was there a kind of a vetting process to choose which crops to get the most weight for this project?
It was one of my most favourite weeks in winter, was kind of actually going through, because I'm being very careful. Like, I don't want things that take too much time to prep. So
Yes.
I haven't grown kind of like garden peas or like English peas. I've grown Monash 2 and sugar snaps, because you don't have to spend time peeling. But also things that preserve really well, like doing lacto-fermented runner beans, they preserve really well. So it's actually been really fun highlighting specific varieties of different crops. Like we've got Ford Hook Giant Chard, so it's like chard but on steroids.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, that's a big one.
And then also other things, like if I think about it with growing the field beans, they're kind of during the hungry gap, so you've got a bit more time, so I'm happy peeling them, but they on weight produce around twice as much per square metre than broad beans. So, you know, it's a fine balancing act.
So how many different types of crops do you reckon you've got here?
Well, so far I've harvested around 35 different crops. Those aren't like different varieties of crops, but actually different crops. Because like one of the things is that if you're trying to eat self-sufficiently, you got to understand what your staples are, like potatoes, grown a lot of those, lots of onions. But then what I like is like a few things where I can just go about, and every mealtime will be something different. As the seasons change, so do the flavours, and I want to get a little bit of everything. But if I had like a whole bed of, say, swede or rutabaga, that might be quite hard to eat all of that. Or it's easy to overproduce. And so by having lots of different things, it means that you can be a lot more creative in the kitchen, and you never really get bored. It's
much more realistic, because then you're going to be inclined to actually eat the stuff as well. This is a proper jungle in here. Is this what's? So
this is the hotbed. So in here I grew around 7 kilos, so around 16, 17 pounds of just salads. So like pak choy, lettuce, spinach, pea shoots during the hungry gap. And then I've now planted outdoor cucumbers. These are market more.
Right.
And I got some cauliflower and then some squash that's trailing off the bottom. So yeah, this hotbed has already been super productive. Then going to get even more productive. We've got these cucumbers coming through.
There they are. Look,
looking really good. These are almost like snacking. You know, I'll probably stack on that.
That's great. Yeah, look at that.
But then also as a hotbed, it produces a huge amount of compost, because that's the other thing with self-sufficiency. Everyone's asking about fertility.
Yes.
So there's 2 things that I'm doing. The goal is that this is going to be 90% self-sufficient in producing compost.
Right.
But I'm also producing my own liquid feeds and liquid amendments to help supplement. Comfrey, dock, nettle, grass clippings, all just mixed up together. But then a really good one for like anyone to buy is just an organic liquid seaweed feed. That's just full spectrum, multi-purpose.
So once you got this set up, the cost of running it the way you're doing it is pretty cheap.
Exactly, yeah.
I see you got lots of tomatoes in here, and this is the best time of year to give them a bit of a sniff. Can we go and have a look? Wow, yeah, this is jungle. You're not wrong, are you? So how many different tomatoes have we got here then?
There's approximately 10, and again, with variety choice, I've been quite careful to make sure that I've got a nice load.
Yes.
Rather than just growing like loads of cherries or salad type. So I've got beefsteak tomatoes, I've got green zebra. These two, the Russian and the green zebra, they're my favourite varieties.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm only just coming into the tomato season, but I've already harvested over 10 kilos or 22 pounds. I'm hoping that I'll get up to 80 kilos, 190 odd pounds worth.
Yeah.
This is like a honey kind of tomato. So if you want to try
you don't need to weigh it.
No,
you're right. Okay.
I do actually snack a little bit too much.
Oh crikey! That is the sweetest tomato I've ever had. No kidding. That is incredible.
If you know me, I'm all about soil health. So this is just the first year of this bed. So I'm hoping that as the soil improves, so's the flavour. I actually come here to the garden, and I don't sometimes bring lunch with me. I just make it like a massive salad.
Yeah, lovely. That's the way to do it.
Some people don't have space for a polytunnel or hoop house, so you can create like a low tunnel. I was very inspired by James Prigioni's design. This has since been adapted because of different measurements, but also different materials available to us. And it's super sturdy, and it means that you get the same benefits of a polytunnel, but outside over a raised bed. So you can just adapt the shape. You get roughly an extra growing season at the start, extra month at the start and at the end. And so these two, they're empty because I've just cleared them and I've sown a load of carrots and a load of beetroot just to harvest throughout winter.
Yes, yeah. These look incredibly well made. They're going to last a few seasons, aren't they?
I can send you the design.
That'd be great. Yeah, look at that. Yeah. Can you give us a few examples of what's kind of been whipped out already?
Well, it's like everywhere I look are examples. Like in here, I grew about 5 kilograms or 12 pounds of Monge 2 peas just along the outside of this bed. We've got the fennel in. The fennel's some of the bigger bits are about to come out. I'm then going to sow with daikon radish. Where the beetroot is, I'm probably going to put in some Napa cabbage. So it's like really just adjusting. Every single bed, it's totally different what's growing in it compared to April when it becomes like August or September, with the exception to some of the winter vegetables. But I actually have purposefully dedicated quite a bit of space to winter veg because the benefit of it is, yes, it takes a bit longer to grow, but the storage, you don't have to preserve it because it just sits in the ground.
You just grab it when you
need
it.
And I think that is so nice because it means it still gets you out into the garden over winter to keep an eye on things.
Absolutely, yeah. Got some lovely curly kale over here.
Yes.
So it looks like 2 types of kale here. Is this the Asturian one, is it?
Yeah, the Asturian tree cabbage, which is, as you mentioned before, is a short-lived perennial. Really hardy, really tasty, a very sweet leaf. So it's not a heading cabbage. So I'll just what you do, just grab like a nice leaf like that, and you can chop that up, add it into a stir fry, really enjoy it. Then we've got these, the dwarf curly green kale. Grow this because obviously it's an absolute champion over winter time. But come the hungry gap, it sends up all of those delicious flower shoots, which with like poor person's purple sprouting broccoli.
I like that.
It tastes really, really nice.
I like that. And you've not got anything covered here, like you just see netting everywhere this time of year. It's either pigeons or it's keep the caterpillars off.
I don't like to net because this is like my little escape, and I think that netting's a bit ugly. And I also think that there's like that false sense of security if you've got things covered in netting. And I've heard of these horror stories where people don't realise that everything underneath the netting is just getting massacred, absolutely mullered. I'm trying to be pragmatic about it. I'm also growing it in my style. This is a kitchen garden, it's not a market garden, and so I'm trying to add a bit of personality to it, even though the primary function is growing as much food as possible. And also every garden's different. Every garden has got its own opportunities, its own drawbacks, and it's about understanding that and working to that.
You've gone for raised beds, Huw. Keeps everything nice and orderly. Was that the main reason?
It depends what's underneath the soil.
Okay.
There might not be much topsoil at all.
Yeah.
But also in terms of just keeping things neat and orderly, and I find it very easy for planning. And I get to sit on it as well. I can just
true.
just perch, sit next to the bed. This was filled with topsoil, a bit of old cow manure, and then like a 5 centimetre, 2-inch layer of compost on top. So pretty economical. I didn't buy like massive bags of compost and fill it right up.
And you've gone for wood chips, man after my own heart. I love wood chip paths. They smell good, if nothing else. Is that just to keep things tidy underfoot, or?
Because it's quite intensive growing space, there's a lot of foot traffic. I went for wood chip purely because it's good at soaking up all of the Welsh rain, and it will break down. So like kind of next year I'll come, scoop it all up, chuck that onto the compost bin and apply a fresh layer. And one thing I want to do as well is inoculate maybe with some wine cap mushrooms, so I can maybe get a surprise extra crop from this space.
That would be amazing.
So I can't help myself sometimes. I love experimenting in the garden, and so I'm even doing it here, even though I shouldn't, because I should be doing the stuff that I know works. But I've got 5 potatoes over there, 5 here, and I'm doing a harvest comparison, because the thing about potatoes, it's not always about what's above ground, it's what's below ground that matters.
Oh yes.
So I'm comparing just growing in multi-purpose compost in a tub, but the other one is a 50-50 mix between multi-purpose compost and just leaf mold. Right. And I'm just going to see if there's any major difference, and yeah, see what happens.
Leaf mold is locally gathered, is it, from the?
Yeah, from around here, actually, just in sacks. These are Sarpomira potatoes, so they're the ones that I always go on about on the channel, and they're blight resistant. I think they're really tasty.
It's hard to tell which one's going to be the winner, the leaf mold mix or the straight compost.
The only thing that's going to tell is time.
Time, that's it, yeah. So you've got a few things that might be ready to harvest. You've got to weigh them all, of course. So I'm going to mess things up for you here, but let's have a look. It's a good size one, look at that. Wow.
One of my absolute favourite vegetables. Slow roasted. All you don't even need to peel it, just slow roasted, and then let it steam for a bit, and then peel it afterwards. Yeah. Oh, so tasty, it's like cheating.
No, it's a winner, yeah. And do you use the leaves as well?
Sometimes, yeah. So like some of the leaves I'll use fresh, just a bit like charred. A lot of the times I will just put the leaves on the compost, because these leaves might be next year's tomatoes.
Oh, fair enough. I like your thinking there. You're weighing everything, aren't you? What's the process here? Are we going to kind of weigh that now? Or
yeah. So I'm not going to use these leaves, so I'll chop it off and then I weigh it, just because I'm having to take note for the book. Called the Self-Sufficiency Garden. Okay. So yeah, this is like, actually, I'm doing it in real life and I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah. And it's funny because I've actually found that taking the photos and the weighing seems to take more time than the actual gardening. Yes, yeah. But it's fun because like I'm going around, I'm looking for, you know, nice big bits of beetroot, because I'm gonna have this for dinner. And it's just so satisfying going around. And
I can see the excitement. You're really pumped up about this, because it's a great little project.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like show people like what you do. It's trying to inspire people that they can grow an amazing amount of food in a small space.
Realistic space, yeah. Looks like not everything here is food to be weighed. You've got these lovely sweet peas here, food for the soul. I mean, are you weighing these, the cut flowers, or is this just for sort of?
No, I should deadhead them. Really. But no, it is that. It's adding a pop of colour, adding a pop of personality. And I think that's, like, for me, I'm trying to get people excited about spaces, and it shouldn't just be completely orderly and stuff. It's like finding space. So that's why I have a lot of perennial herbs here as well, because they, like, per like square foot, herbs provide so much flavour. It's unbelievable. Absolutely. But most of these perennial herbs, when they flower, they are loved by pollinators, and they look stunning as well. So you've got like 3 benefits and like 1 small border.
So you've got a bit of fruit here as well. There's some raspberries and currants and
and rhubarb.
And rhubarb,
Yeah, this is just like supplemental flavour. Yeah. So like, whilst the garden is about being entirely self-sufficient for 2 adults, just from vegetables and herbs, but having a bit of pop of colour, bit of pop of flavour, bit of sweetness is just a nice way to continue to add that variety. Completely. Edible flowers, all of that, it works well.
And this rhubarb is massive if it's been planted this winter. That's a monster already.
It's planted in early March, actually.
Wow.
It's a monster 2 or 3 year old crowns with a lot of manure, and got about 8 kilos from here, so pretty happy with that.
The Jerusalem artichoke there, what's that, about 8 foot, just over 2 meters?
Just over. I think you need to relook at proportion. That's such a good winter tuber.
Yeah,
I really like it. Slow roasted. The nice thing about it is that it just, again, like other winter vegetables, it just sits in the ground. So you harvest as and when.
Yeah, when you need
but
it.
I should get about 20 kilos, 44 pounds worth.
Yeah, wow, that's great, isn't it? Yeah, really, that's quite a tight spot. Yeah, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It adds a lot of structure. It's going to create these beautiful yellow flowers as well. So more flowers.
That's what we like.
Yeah, so this is just where, this is back in May. All of my harvest from the garden on my notepad.
That's an extensive list. Packing a lot in. And
that'll go well against your blue.
That is a great idea, nice one. Huw, it has been a pleasure meeting you today and having a look, and you're packing so much in. It's really inspirational. Thank you so much.
See you in your garden.
Thank you.